Good afternoon, everyone. I welcome you all to today's webinar on TechGig.com. Today's webinar is on the topic Analytics, all about understanding patterns. Today we have with us as the speaker Mr. Gautam Munshi, CEO and co-founder at Redwood Associates. Gautam has over 11 years of working experience in leadership roles in analytical, sales and strategy with his Standard Chartered, HSBC and Marketix. Gentlemen, this presentation will continue for next 45 minutes and you can ask your questions to the speaker by typing in the chat pane available in webinar control panel. So without further delay, I invite Gautam to present the webinar.
Thank you, Keshav, for inviting me to share our thoughts on analytics and understanding patterns. Am I audible, Shekhar?
You are audible. Please let's get started.
And my screen is visible, right?
Yes, absolutely. We can see your screen.
Perfect. So welcome, friends, and welcome to the session of Analytics Understanding Patterns. I do hope to make it a fairly interesting session for all of you and worthwhile for all of you in spending your Thursday afternoon listening to the session. Analytics is a buzzword which we have been hearing about in a major way, analytics, big data, in a major way over the past 5 to 10 years. What is this buzzword? Why are we here? Why is it becoming such a big issue and a big driver for businesses worldwide?
Sorry for interrupting you.
Yeah.
Actually, a part of the screen is not visible. It's a blank screen.
Part of the screen is not visible?
Okay, now it's visible.
Okay, perfect. So
it's not in the full screen.
Analytics is all about understanding patterns. It's not the full screen?
No. Can you please get it in the full screen?
Now? Yeah.
Yeah, but it's a blank screen now.
None of the words are coming? Pictures?
No, nothing.
Okay, wait. Let me try it with PowerPoint. Give me a minute. Is this visible?
Yes, the PowerPoint is visible.
Keshav?
Yes, it's visible now.
And the picture?
Yeah. Now we can see
everything
that.
Is visible?
Absolutely fine now. Thank you.
Perfect. I think it was a compatibility issue with the Mac. So, yeah. So, friends, going ahead. So, analytics is all about understanding patterns. We do believe that analytics is a more sophisticated way for patterns. And over the next 3 slides, I will just share with you why is analytics related to patterns and why are patterns universal. And if the next 3 slides, you're able to appreciate and understand the next 3 slides, I do believe that there is nothing in analytics or data mining which is going to be complicated. The first point which I would like to share is everything and anything in the world or the universe follows a pattern. There is nothing in the world which does not follow a pattern. For example, sun rising at a certain point of time, trees growing at a certain pace, seasons, height, weight. There is nothing, even inanimate objects, which follow the atomic theory. So everything follows a pattern. Now, if everything follows a pattern, that means if everything in the universe follows a pattern, there are many things which we consider as random events. It is very unlikely that they don't follow a pattern. Just because we cannot understand that understand the pattern, that doesn't mean the pattern doesn't exist. And in today's world, thanks to having very, very sophisticated data mining tools, thanks to the volume of data available, thanks to the power of mathematics available, we are able to decipher those patterns. To start a journey in deciphering our patterns, the point which we need to understand and appreciate is that there is nothing in the world on which a measurement cannot be made. Time, proportions, size, money, productivity, loyalty, even so-called emotive attributes such as loyalty, brand recall, honesty, a number can be put onto that. Now, some of you might be thinking, how can we put a number to something as emotive or as fundamental as honesty? My answer to you, my friends, is different countries have a different measurement of punishment to the crime committed. A robbery in India may fetch, or corruption case in India may fetch 7 years of prison. Same corruption case in the US may fetch 50 years in prison. The point, my friends, I'm trying to make is that social structures and individuals have put a number or can potentially put a number into any attribute which one is trying to decipher or model. When it comes to businesses, suppose you are a marketing manager. You would like to understand how much are customers willing to pay for your brand. That payment for a brand is a function of brand equity. And brand equity can also be a number can put into a brand equity, which later on converges into how much is somebody willing to pay for that brand. For example, a designer shirt may retail for 5,000 rupees, but a non-designer shirt with the same material and the same quality may retail for 500 rupees. Why is that 4,500 extra getting paid for? Why is the market paying that 4,500, and why is the company willing to is able to command that kind of pricing power? Is because they have measured the value of the brand and what is the customer willing to pay for it. So even something as ephemeral as branding, one can put a number to it. The point which I'm trying to make, my friends, is that there is, if we put our thoughts to this, there is nothing in the world on which a mathematical number and a unit cannot be put. So this is the first step of analytics, or I would say the second step. The first step is a belief that anything which cannot be understood can be understood, and there is a pattern running behind it. The second step to that is deciding how to quantify that event, how to put a number to that event. Whether a productivity can be measured in total production per man hours, productivity can be measured as total output in terms of efficiency of a code, productivity can be measured as space saving. There can be n number of different ways of measuring productivity, but it is important whenever one is undertaking an analytics engagement or trying to forget about analytics, trying to decipher a pattern. The first step is to be able to put a number to what one is trying to model. This is a very, very fundamental concept, and I would urge you, at your own convenience, try to put a number to things which you have previously not put a number on, and the patterns will start emerging. For example, try to put a number on what is the satisfaction you get by not spending extra time in a traffic jam. Is it equal to 1 hour of extra sleep and suffering the traffic jam, or is it equivalent to getting up 1 hour early, and therefore what is the incremental productivity you will gain? Things like that.
Sorry for interrupting you again.
Yeah.
Your voice is breaking a bit in between. Can you please check the mic?
Okay. Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you, but it breaks, and it's not coming very clearly.
Okay, is this clearer?
Yes, yes, it's improved now.
Okay, done.
Yeah, please. Thanks.
Yeah, sure. The next step is the universal language of cause and effect. In the earlier slide, we understood that one can put a number onto any event or any activity or any attribute. The second part is to understand if one can put an event, a number to say happiness. I am happiness to a unit of say 10 today. That means one can put a number into what was the state of happiness 5 days ago. It could have been 8 or it could have been 15. Similarly, I can put a number to what was my state of what potentially I would like my state of happiness to be 5 days from now, which could be 15, which could be 20. The point is that every event today at any instant of time has come based on a certain set of actions previously and will lead to a certain set of outcomes and actions subsequently. So here we are bringing in an element of a continuous series of events, what we call the universal law of cause and effect. Simple examples, process and scale. If you set up a process, it provides a high probability that the unit will scale up. Habits and health. If one has healthy habits, it is likely that there is going to be good health. Technology and efficiency. If one adopts technology, it is likely that it is going to result in better efficiency. Consumer understanding and pricing. It is very likely that if one has better understanding of consumers, one can price one products better. Risk and return, action and outcome. Like this, there are all events have come because there is a certain action which has contributed to that event happening today. If all of us out here are listening to the web conference, there is a certain action which had happened earlier and there is a certain action which is going to happen subsequently. So the point what I'm trying to say is that there you can define, if you can define one measure today, you can define a measure for that previously and therefore you can define a measure what you would like it to be. Modeling is nothing but, analytics and modeling is nothing but finding the path from where we are today to where we would like to be, which is illustrated in my next slide, in the current slide. So as we can see, the possibilities of no pattern existing are unlikely, or I would say it is not possible. And analytics is about finding the relationship from cause to effect, which I put in a small equation. Effect or outcome is a function of data, mathematics and common sense. This equation, I would say, defines 90% of what analytics is all about. And these three is the whole realm of how analytics is going to evolve and how you can understand and look at solving all decision-making problems or all outcomes which you would like to model. Now, as we read in this equation, the first part was, just a sec. The first part is the function of data. So let us go a bit more deeper into data. Most of you, all of you, would have heard about the concept of big data. Many of you would be working on big data. Analytics has really boomed because today every aspect is digitized. There is nothing what we do which is not recorded in a digital database. If you are moving from point A to point B, your telephone companies have GPS data. They know that you're at point A to point B. If you're buying something and you're getting an electronic receipt for it, the very fact that you bought an X number of goods at this particular time and of this value and this method you've used, that is recorded in digital data. The friends you interact with on Facebook or Google Plus, that is stored for posterity on digital data. What you search for on Google or any other search engine is stored. So today, big data means is really big data. Why is it there? Because every aspect of our lives is stored today in digitized format in some servers and some databases across the world. Now, using this information, companies, governments, and organizations can use it for the tremendous advantages in providing services, goods, analyzing customer demand, and a variety of ways in a variety of ways. So some of the sources of data. The old way, which was surveys, that's still except there. Then we move to transaction systems, credit card data, telephone data, telecom data. These are all transaction data, bank data. Free text. This is where a lot of work is going on because survey data is solicited information. Transaction data is derived information. Free text is unsolicited information. It is information that we type out. You will see that on Google or any other email, Gmail or any other email provider which you are using, your ads which are reflected is based on the email which you are writing. This is text mining. And therefore, Google is reading the pattern of your mails to provide you advertisements which are relevant to you. You may like it or not like it, that's a different matter. But it's providing ads which are relevant to you and making money. And advertisers are promoting the products from free text which you're writing in your mails. Digital images. This, we do believe, is going to become one of the biggest sources of information on which a tremendous amount of analytics or pattern understanding can be applied. Facial expressions. Today, you have software and analytical methodologies which can decipher whether a person is smiling or not smiling. So theoretically as well as practically, you can measure, if you're running a retail shop, when a customer has entered your shop, whether he was frowning and when he leaves he was smiling. That means your team has serviced the customer well. So you can, your business intelligence software sitting on top of which there's an analytics facial recognition software, and if you integrate these two together, can provide reports such as how many customers were happy rather than filling up a survey. And you all know how the survey information is mostly not valid. So digital imaging is going to be a massive source of information for understanding patterns. Sensors. I was reading an article recently where a company is creating a database of the biggest of all the heartbeats in the world to model whether somebody has a high propensity to have a heart attack or not. It will be an application-based sensor. It will be an app which will be there on your phones, which can predict whether a heart attack can potentially happen. Now this is completely an analytics-driven engine which is correlating the heartbeat to potential mishap. So sensor-based information is going to become even huge. Voice. There's tremendous amount of voice transaction which happen, which is through call center, through the speak which we do, this for calling when we are talking on the phone. The tone of the voice can be modeled in terms of, is it a happy tone, is it an aggressive tone, and one can understand whether derive information whether the person speaking on the phone was aggressive or sad. Information like this can be extremely valuable for call centers and BPOs. They'll know exactly, they can get daily report into the millions of calls they're having in terms of how many calls started off as irate and ended up as soft. One doesn't need to have any customer survey. One doesn't need to have any kind of SMSs coming in, are you happy with the service? It is as simple from the tone. And this can be derived from analyzing tone and correlating that using a set of correlations to personal happiness or irateness. GPS information. Today, all of us carry cell phones. That information can be used for better traffic management. It can be used for marketing. It's already being used with the apps which are created, which provide offers based on where we are located. So the point I'm trying to make, friends, is that sources of data are enormous. And as technology folks and business folks, it is up to us to imagine what is the data available and how can we use it strategically. Because we have the tools as well as the tech tools in terms of databases and software functionality, as well as the techniques, which is statistical and mathematical algorithms, to decipher patterns. Now, you may be thinking, okay, Gautam has gone through data, measurement, cause and effect. Now, how do we model? Modeling is, we believe, is the simplest thing possible, provided one understands the concept of that anything can be measured, and one more concept called the n-dimensional plane. Basically, many of you may be familiar with the n-dimensional plane, but I would need to just explain this for another 3 to 4 minutes, because it is a very important part of pattern understanding in where analytics is headed. We have all been familiar with using Excel as well as other software for creating reports which have charts, which are 2 by 2 charts as well as 2 by 3 charts. These charts, unfortunately, are able to provide relationships between only 2 variables, demand and supply, price and quantity. It's only 2 variables, which we all know in today's world is, or even in any world, even historically, is highly inadequate way of looking at data. Therefore, mathematicians historically have worked out a concept called the n-dimensional plane, which is a theoretical concept, which basically allows for creating as many axes as their number of variables, -1. And for a particular event, we plot all the data, for example, data related to that event. For example, if you are trying to measure what will be the demand for automobiles in India in 2012. So we are trying to find a pattern in terms of which will tell us if the demand was say 100 last year, how much will it be this year? So what we need to do is, for that 100 demand, we need to create as much as variables which may explain, potentially explain how the demand got affected. So it can be seasons, it can be GDP, it can be loans, and there can be n different variables. All that information is put in together, and to analyze the relationship between demand and the variables, one needs to build an equation which says demand is a function of these n different variables. Now, this techniques will be used by governmental institutions for the last 50 to 60 years. These are all standard econometric models. However, over the last 5 years, Thanks to the huge increase in computing power, explosion of digital data, and most importantly, open source data mining and statistical software, people like you and me can sit in our offices and analyze almost any data that we want to analyze. You have softwares like Hadoop, like SAS, SPSS, which are extremely powerful. And once you start doing that, with the knowledge of this, even at a high level of multivariate techniques, one can model anything. In ATI, which is our subsidiary company of Redwood, we have trained more than 10,000 software professionals in deploying analytical software, analytical solutions. And we know, and that is so simple, because 3 big components are already present, which was not there even 10 years ago. Now we move to the next one. So, at the end of the day, we are trying to model a target variable against hundreds of non-target variables. To handle these, so therefore there are 2 parts which are becoming very important. You need software which can handle big data, and you need basic knowledge of statistics and modeling which can enable you to leverage the data and build a model. This slide provides a high-level overview of the software which are currently available in the market. This is definitely not an exhaustive list. This is a list which is generally used. The first one is Excel, which is used at a very basic level, but it is good to start off with, but obviously it cannot deal with big data, as we all know. A combination of you have database software like MySQL, Cognos, Teradata, Idaho, which is with MySQL and SQL especially have very, very strong database functionality. MySQL is open source, on which if you add a software called R, which is an open source statistical software, you can just Google R statistical software and download it. Or you can take a trial license of Statistica or SPSS, which is available. You will notice that you are able to manage it, as well as you have the full solution in place to not only manage data but build models. Statistical software are SAS, SPSS, Statistica, R, and StatSoft. StatSoft and Statistica is the same. Database software is MySQL, SQL, Hadoop, Teradata, Cognos. So you can have open source solutions to manage the software, manage and build out any analytical solution. Now we come to the universal. Just give me a minute on this. Just give me 1 minute. I'm just loading another slide. Yeah. Now we come to the next step in terms of how you can use data, software, and your own conceptual understanding to build analytical solutions. I will not spend too much time on this. I would urge you to Google CRISP DM process for analytics. Just like in software, we have the SDLC, software SDLC. Similarly, in analytics, we have CRISP DM, cross industry standard processes for data mining. This is basically a 6-stage process which is used for solving any analytical solution. It is basically defined as: first you understand the business objectives, Then you do the data study. Then the data is prepared and integrated. Then analysis and modeling is done. Then the models are evaluated. Once it passes evaluation, it is deployed. There's a lot of articles and written on this. Please feel free to go through it, and you're most welcome to reach out to anybody in my company to discuss more details on that. Then we move on to two of the most used applications of analytics, techniques in analytics. If one understands these two techniques, one is, I would say, 80% of the current analytical problems, business problems or technical problems one can solve. One is regression, which is very straightforward, and another is cluster analysis. Regression is all about finding out what are the variables, the attributes which influence a particular target variable which you are modeling. For example, if you are building a model, if you're trying to identify who are the customers who are most likely to go bad on a loan, one needs to use the technique of regression, where basically you are building a model where Y, as you can see in the chart, Y is your which the customer, what is the probability somebody is likely to go bad, is a function of dx plus a, and typically there are, given that we are looking at multivariate equation, there are multiple variables. This is used in direct marketing, any kind of coding application, any kind of forecasting, and identifying critical influencing drivers. The second aspect is cluster. Cluster is about taking a large amount of data and finding out mutually homogeneous and collectively heterogeneous groups within the cluster. It is extremely used for all business and strategy decisions in terms of in terms of segmentation and marketing, which is the segment of customers who will buy the product at what price, at what quantity, where and when. How should I differentiate which are the customers who will value a particular kind of service? Which are the segment of people who are most likely to perform in a particular job? And it is all about grouping into mutually homogeneous and collectively heterogeneous, as the visual in the slide is showing. These two are extremely important application techniques using which a very, very large number of decision-making challenges which businesses face, which can be solved. The next two slides is about the evolution of analytics and what we believe is the future. Many of these dates are indicative, and just because I have mentioned survey analytics pre-80s, it doesn't mean survey analytics is not happening now. So these largely vary across geography, time, industry. Some industries do not use so much of analytics, some do, and so on. But this basically shows the shape of things to come. Survey analytics was all about asking a customer, can I ask you, and defining, trying to solve an analytics problem, trying to solve a business problem by understanding what are the customers saying. Transaction analysis is based on the premise that you are the way you transact. If I am continuously buying at a premium garment store, therefore I'm more likely to buy a premium car because it is highly correlated. I'm a premium attribute person. It may be true, may not be true. But transaction data is, the premise of transaction data is the way you transact and is the way you are. So analysts use transaction data to decipher the characteristics of the population based on the transaction history. The third part, which is extremely prevalent now, is social media analytics. You are the company you keep. It is based on how people are interacting over social media. All your advertisements, many companies are planning their advertising strategies, product launch strategies, customer product development strategies based on understanding how people are behaving on social media network. And this is I will come to the techniques later. Sentiment analytics, a huge area where, based on what is happening on the blogosphere and on in the internet world, using a combination of text and other attributes, one is trying to decipher what is this, where is the sentiment headed for the particular brand. Is IPL rocking or is IPL not rocking? That can only be understood based on through a sentiment analytics project. And finally, it leads, what we foresee is going to be thought analytics, where advanced sensors are going to predict how and what we are thinking and therefore derive information around that. What are the techniques which are going to be used? In survey, it was primarily questionnaires, followed by, and the techniques were used were crosstabs, univariate analytics, bivariate analytics. In transaction data, the realms of multivariate analytics using the n-dimensional plane and concepts such as regression and clustering models came into play. For social media and analytics, a lot of web logs, text mining, and obviously multivariate techniques are being used. And when we move on to sentiment and thought analytics will be where the realms of artificial intelligence come into play. And there are a lot of projects which are currently happening which are related to that. Finally, I come to exploring career options in analytics. So I've tried to build a grid around on the x-axis, as you can see, which industries are based on offshoring and which are geo-independent, and similarly internal clients as well as external clients. So typically all large BFSI and retail companies have huge captives in India. So you have companies like Target, HSBC, Stanchart, Tesco, which run very large analytics divisions, which are servicing internal global teams and internal global teams for the offshore market. So this is one area which is huge, and there are a lot of career options can be explored there. The other aspect is geo-independent and internal client, which is basically there are a lot where there are all basically Fortune, all large companies have now analytics teams, which are basically providing analytical insights and reports to the management across the board. So as a user of analytics as well as a producer of analytics, companies such as Airtel and Idea, on the telecom side, Reliance, all these companies have their own analytics teams which are advising top management in terms of what are the factors which are influencing the business. So here you are servicing internal clients. The key skills here in both in internal client-like situation which get developed is deep domain expertise. In external client situation, you have the third-party ITS companies. All the leading IT companies have already built analytics divisions, which are part of usually the BI divisions, as well as are in the process of building BI analytics teams. And most ITS companies are offering analytics as a top-up, as an additional service toward above BI and above BI. And then you have a large number of boutique consulting firms which focus on niche verticals and function. There's a very, very good company. There are many companies such as MMA, which is I'm just getting the name, this thing. There are companies like Manthan Analytics, MMA, which are focused on particular domain as well as a particular function in a particular arena. For example, Manthan is focused on retail analytics. You have a company like Meritus, which is on CPG analytics. And finally, you have product companies, which are where there is which are companies which are building products in the analytics space, such as SAS, IBM SPSS, Statistica, and so on. This is all what I had for my presentation. It is 3:45 now, and I open the house for any kind of questions you may feel free to ask. Any questions?
Already shared with you. Can you see them in the questions window?
Yeah, okay. So I've got a question. Taking the example, when a customer walks in, he was frowning and why he's finding. Analytics will say the shopper was given, but you cannot accept the point at just face value because the very other situation. Okay, wonderful question, Mr. Srinivasan. The example which I took, nothing in analytics is accepted at face value. What I took, because in the interest of the discussion, which was only a 45-minute discussion, obviously an implementation like this will be far more complicated, not complicated, detailed. For example, there will be a huge amount of correlation between a smiling face and additional purchase. If the data validates that somebody who's smiling has a higher propensity to buy more products and goods, and it is highly correlated, and the correlation as well as the regression model shows that over a large sample size, it is never about 1 or 2 customers. This is modeled over 100 to 200 customers and above. That a finding, the statistical model is statistically validated, that this assumption, or what I call a hypothesis, has been validated. So to answer your question, no analytics solution is given without statistical validation. Only when the statistical validation is done, and statistical models can only be validated provided the sample size is of a certain size, and secondly, the model has statistical metrics which validate the model. So that is to answer the question. One should never accept, even if you are a user of analytics and your analytics department shows you a particular output, you must ask them, what is the validation which you have gone through in the model? So I guess that answers Mr. Ramachandran's question. Then Mr. Rajkumar has asked, I am an IT engineering graduate. What analytical course will improve my career? Okay. To answer your question, analytics is something you may want to take a course or you may not want to take a course. I would first urge you to pick up any book by Olivia Parr Rudd, Data Mining, and go through it. You will understand how the whole modeling process works, and then you will understand whether you want to take up analytics as a career or specifically, or you don't want to. If you want to take up analytics as a career, then I would urge you to. We have a lot of analytics training programs at our institute, which is www.analyticstraining.in. You can inquire with us, or on your own also you can look at. You can look at downloading R and practicing on R. You will be able to understand how analytics operates. And analytics is all about doing a lot of practice. And if you feel that you're getting comfortable and you're really enjoying the profession, because this profession is a critical driver is you have to be really passionate about numbers, and you have to be very curious. If you're really enjoying it, there are a lot of openings available where if you have strong skills, if you have a passion for analytics, as well as you know basics of, since you're an IT engineering graduate, I do not feel that you will have a problem in databases. So and if you have an appreciation of statistics, you should be able to go get through any interview. And if you're most welcome to inquire at our institute. Then we have Mr. Anshuman Das, who mentioned, my question is related to a career in the field of analytics. What should you suggest a person who does not have a background and still wants to pursue a career in analytics? Okay. So as I mentioned earlier, you don't need to have a quant background. So long as you are passionate about numbers and you've got a decent, I would go as far as to say, if you've got a decent math scores in class 10 or class 12, or even if you don't have, if you enjoy numbers, then you can definitely pursue an analytics career. You don't have to have a specific degree in maths or statistics. I have a degree in economics and I have an MBA. Just like you are mentioning, you've got an MBA finance. I have an MBA finance and I've got an arts degree in economics. But I'm fond of math. But I would urge anybody who's not fond of math to not be a producer of analytics. Everybody will become a consumer of analytics. But to work specifically in the area of analytics, I would urge, I would recommend that you should be interested in mathematics. So, Raj, so Anshuman, I would definitely recommend you, if you have, since you've got a management degree, and you can definitely pursue your career in analytics. And the organization which you're mentioning, you're working in, that has a very big analytics department. You've worked there for one. I'm sure there can be a lot of options you can explore with your HR. Okay. Then we have another question by somebody. How can small, medium and IT companies begin offshore collaboration in analytics? Very good question. This is a slightly challenging question, Amal. See, analytics is about when you're looking at data and you're looking at data of clients. So unlike IT, here you're looking at data and you're providing recommendations to the senior and top management. So it is extremely, nobody will give you data if there's no trust established. So I would urge small and medium IT firms to first approach their existing clients with whom they already have a degree of trust. Using that credibility built with their existing clients, they can then start marketing to newer clients. I would be very happy to have a more detailed discussion around this. If you could contact me, and my email ID is available. But cold calling, having a sales force to approach cold calling customers in analytics does not work. This is something I can very confidently say. I would urge all small and medium IT companies and participants, small and medium IT companies here, you will be wasting a lot of time and energy if you're approaching new clients. This business is all about trust. See, for example, if you're working, say you get a marketing analytics and a dashboarding project from a CMO of a company in the US, and your analytics results and figures out that all the campaigns which the CMO has done is wrong. Now, that can be a very catastrophic recommendation. So, most of the time, clients only like working with people who understand the ethos of their own company and the ecosystem of the company. Yeah, Sai Turaka, can one enter analytics field at any stage of the career? I do believe one can enter analytics field in any stage of the career, Sai, because of simple reasons. That, having said this, because analytics is going to be applied across the board, so there's going to be enough room for analytics projects. There's a lot of work available, and there's a lot of opportunities available. Having said this, one has to have a clarity in terms of what area of analytics will one be playing with. As a fresher, one will be entering into basic reporting and modeling, so one can join any company. As a very experienced person, suppose one has about 10 years of experience in a manufacturing company, in a production shop floor, then it is a better idea to identify a boutique consulting firm which is into manufacturing analytics and apply there, where domain skills can be used. Or if one is or enter a third party ITS company at a senior level where a domain perspective, where domain skills are used. After a lot of work experience in a particular domain, one cannot come in, one cannot discount the domain experience which one has learned. So that answers the question on one can largely enter in any aspect of any stage of one's life. This is more from a global standpoint. In India, given that my answer is from a worldwide standpoint, in India, given that there is this huge offshoring mandates, so most of the work which is coming in is at different levels. So where the industry is largely absorbing a lot of people at the junior levels. At senior levels, yes, the best bet is consulting firms. How does analytics, Rakesh has asked a question, how does analytics help in stock market? I would, my answer to that is, I think most of the stock market is driven on analytical models. So you have forecasting indicators. I'm not from a financial, I'm not from a stock market background, but from a financial services background. But so the maximum quant and maximum forecasting models are used from the stock market. So a huge amount of forecasting techniques, REMA modeling techniques, which is time series forecasting techniques, are used in the stock market. Excellent question. Venugopal has asked a question. How is the emergence of professional analytics in political scenario in India? I think over the last 3 years, all leading political parties have created an analytical cell, and I do believe political analytics is going to become very, very, very big I wouldn't even say in the coming future, I would say in the present to the future. Pranay Roy, who's the leading and who's the managing director of NDTV, is a trained political analytics person. So political analytics, I think, has a huge scope for a country like India. I do believe currently what is happening is political parties themselves are creating their analytical cells. There is a huge room for setting up a political analytics consulting firm. So people who are interested in politics and interested in analytics, I would say there is very, very bright future available not only in India, but to build global political analytics firms. Mr. Sanat has asked a question. Only the statistics report makes us analyzing. Only statistics and reports makes us analyzing the business environment better than any additional domain. Sanat, I can't understand your question. You have mentioned only the statistics and reports makes us analyzing business environment better, or additional domain related future assumption is required. Okay, got it. As I mentioned in one of my slides, a very important attribute to cracking analytics is a lot of curiosity and interest in the domain. For example, I am from an economics and management domain. I cannot analyze anything in healthcare. I may be able to do a job at it. I may be able to run a couple of regressions. But will I create a good analytics report? No. I would need to collaborate with somebody from the life sciences background to be able to come up with something meaningful. So to answer your question, domain understanding is vital. One of our other friends has asked, how can analytics take care of angularities in human behavior? Excellent question. Human behavior, that is, the angularities in human behavior, like I started off in my presentation saying, just because we cannot understand a pattern, that doesn't mean a pattern doesn't exist. Today, with the realms of big data, and we have got data of so many fronts which I described in my presentation, the patterns can be unearthed. If I was trying to find out angularities in human behavior from a questionnaire, I agree, or a simple survey, I agree, one will go totally wrong. But if one tries to understand, combine survey information with Google search information, with Facebook information, with facial expressions, I'm sure one can predict human behavior. And I'm sure you will agree that if one is able to integrate, when one integrates 5 different data from 5 different sources, the result will be fairly accurate. And that is exactly what is happening globally. Is analytics to be considered as an IT or ITS stream? Of course, IT. I would say analytics cannot be done without IT or ITS. So it is. I would put it under the IT or ITS realm of things. Then there's a question, if one wants to start a company in analytics, steps to start and grow, approach to finding customers, minimum manpower. And I do not have any data mining or BI experience. Sheetal has asked the question. Sheetal, and for the benefit of all the others, one does not need data analytics experience at all. What one needs is an understanding of a particular area and a passion for a particular area, problem which one is trying to solve. If one has a passion for a particular problem, the data and the analysis comes very easy, because those are just tools and techniques. For example, if I have a passion to drive a car, getting a car and finding a road is easy. What is important is, do I have passion for driving the car? So to answer your question, you need to identify one. Okay, there is no right and a wrong answer in business, so my recommendation is you should identify a particular function, vertical, or a domain which you are extremely passionate about, Sheetal. You should not choose a random domain. You should only choose an area which you're extremely passionate about and be very sharply focused on that. It can be as sharply defined as retail, understanding the retail customer in Western India markets, and and start by building a practice around that specialized area, where you know that you are passionate about, you know that you will be able, if you're passionate about it, you'll be able to provide a good solution. If you're able to provide a good solution, you will at least get one customer who will vouch for your work. And once you get one customer who will vouch for your work, then your business, you will start getting many more orders. Then the next set of challenges which happens is about scale up. Now, scale up is a totally different topic, which I would be happy to, you could connect with me on LinkedIn or on mail, and we can have a separate discussion of scale up. The next question is, don't you think we need to make business owners realize the value addition of analytics? How is the industry taking care of it? Okay. To answer your question, Venkatraman, all leading business owners have realized the value of analytics. Any business owner who has not realized the value of analytics, I would urge you to share with them a couple of articles. You can go on our Facebook page, which is www.facebook.com/analytics-training. You can find us on analytics training also. There are a variety of articles which are there, which we have amalgamated from the industry, which will help you put together a business case for senior management who is not understanding. And after putting the business case, if senior management still doesn't understand, I would urge you to avoid working with that company, because the company is not going to prosper if they don't implement analytics in the next 1 or 2 years. Because I can assure you that, I mean, it's not about me assuring you, there is every company in the world is implementing analytics. Just to put things in perspective, as far as I understand, about 17 to 20% of your global MNC IT firms are coming, revenues are coming from BI analytics. Then the next question is, will analytics not be infringing on privacy issue? Oh, wonderful question, Jaswant. I completely agree with you. Analytics is definitely infringing on privacy issues. The very fact that all of us have got Facebook accounts, all our data is already public. Every time we are accepting an app, it is public. So every time we are searching, it is public. So as we speak, there is nothing in our lives which is not public. If we believe that any data of ours is not public, I don't think it is true, because I mean, it is, yeah, definitely it is infringing on privacy issues. But the way forward is there will be enough people who will be willing to avail of services and sharing their data around that than people who are not willing to avail of services. So what will happen is that, and for statistical model, the way the data goes, the way the data is going globally, that most people are willing to share their data. Okay. Venugopal, how do you compare the standard BI analytics tool with in-memory tool? Uh, I didn't understand this question, Venugopal. With the standard BI analytics tool, with the in-memory tool, maybe we can take that offline. But I would say that one of the best tools for analytics is MySQL or SAS. All of them are good, actually. SPSS Statistica is very good and effective. So there are a large number of tools, and Hadoop is the way forward, apparently. How successful is the building of analytics models for India? In what areas has it been successful? Gopal, again, the answer is that it's been extremely successful in banking and in telecom. However, it needs to get adapted to other industries also. Sanat asked a question. How would you relate modern day mobile development with analytics? Mobile analytics is going to go very, very closely together. I think everything in mobile is going to be analytically driven in terms of the kind of apps you download, in terms of the kind of SMS, the voice, in terms of the kind of SMS you spend, the payment plans, what are the service, your GPS trackers, so which areas are you walking around in, and so on. So anybody in the mobile industry, there's a huge opportunity for developing mobile apps which have a very strong underlying component. Okay, Anshuman has asked a question, should not get domain expertise before jumping into analytics. See, I think, both aspects are fairly valid. It depends on the individual. Suppose, for example, I got domain expertise before I moved into analytics. I know many people who have jumped into analytics in the beginning. Now, what happens is that at the end of the day, you need to develop expertise in some area, definitely. And if you jump into analytics directly as a fresher, you must make sure after 2 to 3 years, you choose a particular domain where you keep working on analytics, so that one really doesn't become a jack of all trades, and one is able to interact with clients at the highest levels. Domain experience is important. So it doesn't matter whether you start off with domain and then move into analytics, or start off with analytics and move into domain. So long as over a 5 to 7 year span, you have the following skills. You have very strong skills on databases, you have strong skills in statistical modeling, and you have deep understanding of a particular domain. This should happen over a 7 year span. 5 to 7 year span. So I would urge everybody, I would recommend that the career planning should be over a 5 to 7 year span rather than 1 to 2 year span. What Sachin has asked a question, what is social analytics? This is, I think we're running out of time, so this is the last question, or if somebody wants to ask any more, please feel free to ask right now. I think we've got time to take up another 2 questions. Social analytics is all about understanding how people are interacting. I would call it under social media analytics, how people are consuming and interacting on the social media space. For example, in Facebook, what is the activities which are gaining viral? What are the drivers of viral brands? For example, YouTube, what kind of videos make it viral? Why did there's a video called Charlie Bit My Finger. Why did that become viral? And therefore, once you understand how do people interact on social media, as a corporation, you can market your brand or your product on social media in a much more effective manner. Okay. Pawan has asked a question. How much precision can be achieved in an analytics model? Excellent question, Pawan. I do believe that analytics models can reach up to 70 to 80% accuracy, and having said this, one can push for higher levels of precision, provided one takes in a lot more variables into the whole thing. But then explaining the model will become difficult. So there is always a trade-off between explanation and prediction, and both these are very challenging trade-offs. And there are a lot of articles written on this, and a good place to again refer to this is Olivia Parrad's data mining cookbook. What sort of mathematical concepts have been used in analytics product development? As asked by Venkatraman. Venkatraman, the biggest concepts that are used are concept of hypothesis testing, clustering, regression, forecasting, and probability Bayesian techniques. These are the basic techniques which are used for all kinds of analytical product development. One of our friends has asked about capital markets and how analytics can be used. Analytics will, if you're working in capital markets, I assume that you will be either doing research on stocks or trading in stocks. And analytics can be used in trying to forecast when to buy and when to sell. And therefore, I think it is used, I mean, it's going to be a bread and butter for you. So I would urge you to be very strong on any kind of forecasting techniques. So that's it, and I think the questions are also over. I thank you for joining on the discussion. Please feel free to reach out to me. My email ID is munshi.gautam@redwoodassociates.in, munshi.gautam@redwoodassociates.in. I would be happy to take up any questions at a later stage. If there's any way we can collaborate together or you need any help on analytics, please feel free to reach out to us. Thank you very much. Thank you, Keshav. Keshav? Yeah.
Thanks, Gautam, for presenting this very informative webinar. It was really an enlightening session. I would also like to thank our attendees for making this webinar a big success. This gentlemen, the recording of this webinar will be made available on techgig.com by tomorrow. The next webinar on TechGig is happening at 5 p.m. today, and the topic is you can win by creatively motivating project teams. We have invited Mr. Karthik Ramamurthy, founder, principal consultant, key results, and president PMI Chennai chapter. See you all at 5 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you.